Canon Puncture, Episode 93, Game Aadvocates, Xxxxtreme Street Luge.
Welcome back to the Canon Puncture Show. This is Rich Rogers here. We are going to do another one of the Game Advocates episodes, and I've got a guest here from the famous podcast Stabbing Contest, Ogre Whiteside. How are you doing, Ogre?
I'm famous to like 200 people.
Well, you know what? Micro-celebrity, I've heard, is something to do with the game you're interested in.
It's pretty sexy.
So, what's this game you want to advocate for, Ogre?
I want to talk to you about Xxxxtreme Street Luge. That's right, 4 X's.
4 X's?
Yep.
Okay.
Because, it's more than 3 can contain.
What is this game?
Extreme Street Luge is a game by Ben Lehman, and it's a double-sided one piece of paper game. It comes as a PDF or little booklets. The PDF is designed so that you cut it up into little pieces and make a little booklet out of it. It is the greatest game written in a day on a dare as satire. In fact, it's better than any game like that has a right to be.
What is this game about? What do you do?
In the Extreme Street Luge world, you play an extreme street luger, which means that you are involved in a niche hobby, and you are mildly famous in that hobby. And you race, and then you bull pickle about the race. And I'm not going to censor myself after this. I'm going to make you have to insert it, because I know you love doing that. And then you actually do your real life things, which are known as bull. You have 3 bullets, in fact. It's kind of a dual game. You're trying to become world famous, or micro famous in the world of Extreme Street Luge, and you're also trying to get all of your real life stuff done, like, get into community college, or break up with your girlfriend, self-publish a novel, or move out of your parents' basement.
You got an interesting little joke game premise, this Extreme Street Luge, huh?
The thing is about this game is that it's yes, it's a joke premise, and yes, it was written on a dare, and yes, it was written in a day and as satire, but then it was played. It was played at Go Play PDX for the first time, and to everyone's surprise, especially Ben's, it was really fun, and it really worked.
Yeah, but why not play something like Paranoia?
There's not as much mom f***ing in Paranoia.
Probably none. Yeah.
Yeah, really not any, because, you're born in a vat.
Computer doesn't really like that.
No, the computer doesn't grok on that at all. What makes Extreme Street Luge pop as opposed to other comedy games is that there's a real sense of empathy and pathos, because you're playing someone who you could be. This person, you could be this 19-year-old kid. You could have been this 19-year-old kid who wants to be really good at this tiny little sport, and also would like to, go to community college, or get a promotion at their job, or get a job in the first place, or talk to that girl at the record store who's really intimidating. So the comedy in this game doesn't come from outlandish situations that are a lampoon of political convention or real life conformity like Paranoia does. It comes from the fact that kid could be me, and oh man, I remember being like that.
Okay, I can dig on that. Tell me a little bit, how does it play? What's the subject of the game at the table? What are the players doing?
Well, you make up your characters, who are usually young but can be older. In fact, actually, some of the best games we've had have involved at least one character who's inappropriately older than the rest of the other characters. The 37-year-old divorced accountant, or the 62-year-old grandfather. One of his bullshit was keep those kids out of my rose bushes. Yeah, he was fun. you make these characters. You give them a little life. You give them a Street Luge name. You give them a real name. You pick out what their bullets are, and then you give them some statistics that have to do with how they move, how they speak, how they look, that kind of thing. And there's a great little diagram. It's a little hand drawing of Vin Diesel, done by Shreya Sanpat in the book, that points out all the attributes. Once you get your character made with these attributes, 3 of which are going to mirror Vin Diesel, so they're just maxed, then you have a race. The first thing you do is you have a race. You draw cards. It's all a card-based mechanic. The best card wins. If there's a tie, there was some shenanigans that happened. Then you all go to somebody's house to sit around in their basement and drink cheap beer and talk about the race. And you take turns asking each other's questions about how the race went. And you say, "Oh, dude, man, how did you go around that corner when the car was coming? I thought you were going to get totaled." And then you pick a stat, and the character answers with that stat by drawing a card and making up some crap. If you manage to get below the stat, your story's good, and everybody thinks you're cool, and you get a point of prestige. And if you don't get above that card, or if you go above the card, your stat, I mean, your story sucks, and everybody makes fun of you, and you don't get prestige. And at the end, you can turn prestige into fans, and fans are kind of the way that you figure out how good you are at this little tiny niche of a niche sport.
Is there a GM?
There is not. It is a GM-less game.
Okay.
And your first fan is your mom. And if you don't get any prestige during that after game session or after race session, you lose a fan. And so you could lose your mom as a fan, which, as a weird meta function of the game, other people will take your mom as fans. It's a very mean little function of the game that came up totally without anybody thinking about it.
We average 9 new titles a day. That's over 60 a week. And we've got well over 15,000 RPG titles online right now. Drive-Thru RPG, the one true source for RPGs.
Let's say that you twisted my arm into trying to play Quadruple Xxxtreme Street Luge. What would you warn me about as a new player of this game?
Don't make a guy, just like in its Spectres, where Jared says don't make anybody who's too weird, because it's more fun when crazy things happen in normal people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make a guy who's too cool, because it's not that funny when, your cool guy manages to do something by the skin of his teeth. But it's hilarious when he actually manages to succeed in life, even though he's a complete loser. It's really best to make people who are kind of lame. At least they have to have some lame handles for the other players to grab onto.
What are some great handles that you've had in games you've played, or other people have had?
We sort of go by the naming convention, or at least when I play, we go by the naming convention from another crazy one-page game called Sea Dracula, where animal lawyers have to have incredibly awesome names, so we go for the incredibly awesome names. I believe we've had Flaming Erection. Razor Snicked was one of my favorites. I cannot remember what the accountant's nickname was, but it was some sort of, I don't even, a numismatic fiscal something or other. It was completely out of hand. Laser Awesome was a pretty good one. You gotta love a guy named Laser Awesome.
He had to be 12, right? Was the character 12?
I think the character was 14. No, Razor Snicked was 14. I don't remember how old Laser Awesome was. If I remember right, Laser Awesome was actually the 24-year-old youth counselor who was trying to save all of these other racers, and things went badly for him. Very, very badly. So yeah, there have been some really good ones. Yeah, no one's used the name Jason Morningstar yet as an awesome name, but I'm guessing it's coming.
Definitely now.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite moments of like things that actually happen at the game too?
Oh man, there are so many good stories. The first time I played this game, I played it over at Ben's, and one of my characters' bullshit
Pickles.
was to propose to his girlfriend, although someone quickly took her as a fan, and I decided you can change your bullshit
Pickles.
at any time, so I changed it to break up with my girlfriend, and I failed 3 times in a row. I failed in person. I failed on the phone. Actually, no, I failed twice, and then succeeded by breaking up with her over email, thus pointing out that my character was a complete D-bag. This is what is really pops about this game, is these kind of stories. The little race mechanic thing is fun, but when you really, really start to knuckle down and try to fix the things in your life that are broken, that's where the game really sings.
What do you see other players loving about the game?
Well, it's kind of an interesting combination between low humor, which there can be quite a bit of, although it doesn't always have to be. You could play this game perfectly straight and create some really heartwarming stories. I personally am not interested in that, but I could see how it would happen, and actually I could see how it would be really good. It seems to me that a lot of what people enjoy about this game, what gets people to ask me to bring out the game or run their own versions, what really makes people want to play the game is they get to tell a story about a normal human being who doesn't have any special abilities or powers or supernatural what's-its or cyberware or any of that kind of stuff, that's interesting and engaging and fun and funny and sometimes even heartbreaking. They're always sort of turned on by the fact that they just told a story about a 14-year-old kid who, has trouble with his parents and really wants to talk to a girl that wasn't 100% boring. It was, in fact, super exciting and had drama to it, had a little bit of suspense to it. When people turn over those cards to see what happened, they're engaged and they're leaning over the table to see what that result is.
All right, so talked about a lot of the great stuff about this game. Why do people hate it?
I gotta say, some people would probably hate this upon hearing it, but I don't know that there's been a huge reaction to it so far because it's really small. Some people are not into the satirical nature of it. It is a satire of the indie publishing scene. You're a guy who is in a niche of a niche hobby, and you have some fans, and there's a mechanic where instead of trying to fix your bullshit by drawing cards against one of your stats, you can draw cards against how many fans you have, which means basically you're using your fans to get things in your life done. I think a few people take that a little personally. Most people have a little bit of sense of humor about it, mostly. I think that there's a fair amount of people who would look at this game and say, why would you ever play that? It's not escapism. It's not robots and monsters and dragons, so why should I be interested? I don't know if that's hate or more apathy.
So, Ogre, is there anything else you want to talk about the game?
It really is worth trying. Print 2 copies at first, because you're probably going to screw up cutting up one of them to try to put it into a booklet. Remember to print it double-sided, not as 2 pages. And you can get a hold of it from Ben or various people who Ben has given permission to print up and sell you the game for $2, sometimes $3. I don't remember which.
Wow.
I have been known to be talked down to $1. Also, there's another double-sided format version magazine about it called Extremophile, which has some very fine micro articles.
Does it follow the same kind of format?
It's same kind of cut up and put together into a little booklet kind of deal. There's some articles about playing the game, and there's a long list of awesome names that I wrote for it.
Oh, so this is your fan magazine.
No. Ben actually put it together. It's contributions from myself. I think Joe McDonald has an article too. I don't have it in front of me, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
But just to state, you're such a big advocate for the game that you helped to write some fanfic for it.
Absolutely. And if I ever get off my ass, I'll write an article for Extremophile 2, if that ever comes out.
Nice.
Actually, one more thing, now that I think about it. it's really hackable for just about any other weird niche sport. We played a really good version of Indie Pro Wrestler, Extreme Indie Pro Wrestler, that was quite fun.
That sounds interesting. Ogre, thanks for coming on Canon Puncture and advocating for Extreme Street Luge.
It's always good to talk to you, Rich.
Same here, man.
We had such potential, such promise. But we squandered our gifts. And so, I am creating you.
Oh, so you're still here. Well, thanks. I hope this means you enjoyed the episode, or could mean you walked away. For those who are still enjoying the episode, here are a couple of pieces that I cut out because, well, one's a little blue and one's a little inside jokey. But here we go. First one is Ogre talking about another reason why somebody might hate Extreme Street Luge.
Probably a few people who got their noses bent in foregone times on the internet by Ben Lehman, who probably just hate it because his name's associated with it. You know, remember, we're all a bunch of, hippie jerks.
Well, I hope nobody tries to sleep with his mom. Although if Jason Morningstar got Ben Lehman's mom to be his fan, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. We should play a game of this where we all just, use names of game designers. It would be horribly meta and slightly confusing and maybe a little bit embarrassing.
Or just rename it to Game Chef.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
And this last bit is another story from Ogre about a fun experience that he witnessed at the table. It's a little blue.
The accountant wanted, one of his bullshit
Pickles?
was he wanted to make porn. He wanted to get into the porn industry. He was attempting to make some amateur porn with one of the other racers' moms, and it was sort of a trailer awful thing, and he failed. He failed to put batteries in the camera. So after all of this gymnastics, he discovers that he has made absolutely no film at all, to which the mom in question said, well, that's okay. We can try another time, but not now because I have bridge. And then opened the door to the bedroom screaming, Ricky, bring us some towels, which almost made the player of Ricky cry. It was fantastic. Yeah.
So that's it, really. This is actually